Alrighty, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Coffee cheers. So we're on our way, of course, to the water, loaded up. Last trip out, fished some smaller backwaters, smaller craft, less gear. And I don't want to say we had an epic bite. Well, we didn't have an epic bite, but we got on fish. We caught fish consistently on a jig and a spinnerbait. And in my opinion, two of the most fun ways to catch some fish, especially this time of year in the cooler weather. And I said this in the last video, but you know, taking out a smaller kayak, just minimal stuff, and when you can get on fish, it just hits different. It's like a different kind of enjoyment for me. So we're doing that again today. Going to those same backwaters. I've got the Slayer Max 10 loaded in the truck. Got 6 rods with us, a black pack, a battery, a couple of other miscellaneous items. And we're gonna see if we can expand upon that pattern. Last time we were out, I really didn't know exactly how the fishing would be. I stated that it's an area that's pretty much hit or miss, meaning when it's a miss, the fish just aren't there. But right now there's some fish there. Usually when we start to get some rain, winter hits, I think those fish disappear. So basically gonna get one more trip in before we call it quits at this spot for the year. But we are about 5 minutes out. I'm gonna get there, load up the kayak, wheel her down to the water, of course take you guys with me, spend a day fishing, and we'll see what happens. A little bit of an adventure. But I don't think you guys can disagree. I mean, how peaceful is this? I think we're gonna go spinnerbait to start. It's kind of what we ended the day last time. Getting them on, even though it's only like 4 days later. It already feels like the conditions are way different. We're here earlier. Last time it was more of like a mid-morning afternoon trip. But we know bass. They're always doing something different, or it seems like they are. It's never straightforward, which is part of the fun, part of the enjoyment, the mystery, the puzzle as we call it. See what kind of bait, presentation, colors, whatever they're in the mood for today. But yeah, last time it was spinnerbait and a jig. What was that? Something smashed it. Oh shoot, I think I foul hooked something. Felt like a bite though. Yeah, this ain't no bass. It's a carp, I'm guessing. Maybe a striper. What the heck is this? Oh, came off. Yeah, I don't think I hooked him. What the heck? Alright, a little excitement. I'm gonna say 99% chance that was a carp. It's weird though, it felt like it bit. Sure, it just went by it and tail slapped it though. I probably hooked it in the tail. Kind of felt like it was fighting, like I had it in the tail. Good fish though. They still exist here. Oh, what the heck? Maybe they are. Dude, so I didn't even jig this lipless at all. Something either got hooked, like hooked itself, or something ate it on the fall. That was weird. Got something. Feels like a bass. What? Dude, that was like up by the weeds. I feel like that was actually a bass. Definitely a bass. I didn't miss it. I guess I missed you. There we go. They have grown up today. I didn't catch one that big back here last time in like 15, 20 fish that I caught. Alright, first one of the day. Ooh, he's cold. He's a frigid one. Thank you, buddy. Alright, I like that. Definitely a little slower to start the day. You kind of can expect that though. This chilly morning. The fog is still here. It hasn't lifted yet. Should be soon though. Starting to feel a little bit of a breeze. That's good. That is good. Just like last time. Slow rolling a spinnerbait. Got a bunch of other stuff back there too. That'll play, I think, at certain parts of the day and certain locations, but this area feels like my spinnerbait area. You can see how the grass kind of sets up good for a spinnerbait. It's dying off, if not already dead, but it's like little pockets, little holes that these fish are sitting in and ambushing bait. That's a fun bite. It is a fun bite. Got a feeling, a little bit of a feeling. Something's telling me to tie this dude on and throw it around a little bit. It's a bait I didn't get a single bite on last time. I don't know, water seems a little dirtier. So it'll stay in the strike zone a little bit longer. I'm assuming this will attract a bigger bite. Can't hurt to try. What the heck was that? There we go. Alright, maybe... Oop, had one. Might be a crankbait deal. Get him to react, force feed him a little bit. That was a small one, like the ones we were catching last time. Fishing the same area we just went through with the spinnerbait, but now going with a crankbait. Cranky. Alright, well, that's a telltale sign the bite's slower is when they're eating the crank. I mean, I'm glad they're eating something. The ratio of bites we've had fishing the spinnerbait to the crankbait is definitely different. It's pointing more towards a crank deal right now. I think these fish are a little deeper too. I think they pushed off a little bit deeper into the channel, I want to say. I don't think they're right up against the bank like they were last time. Not now, at least. Fish our way out of here, cover some water. Never straightforward though, is it? But again, that's the beauty of fishing, right? Just never know what you're gonna get with a day. Okay, we made a move. This is the area where we got some jig bites last time. Will it happen this time? I don't know. Depends on how these fish feel. Seems more reasonable though to get a jig bite on a morning like this than say like a spinnerbait, something moving. This fish must be hunkered down. Oh. Second cast. Oh, a meaty one. Yeah, you guys are plugging the bottom, eh? Good chunk. Alright. I mean, I don't want to say it. I don't want to jinx it. There we go. What? Hey, I'll take you. Still warming up here. This really is like the easiest bait to fish. You literally just throw it out there and you don't move it, really. I mean, just let it fall, let it sit. Just keep a little bit of tension in the line. You'll eventually, if you get bit, you'll feel one. Pick it up, a little doink. Seems to be happening maybe 5 to 10 seconds after it hits the bottom. So let it sit there, as natural as it can be. Super dink on the spinnerbait. Oh shoot, just broke it off. Dude, I feel terrible. I hope he's able to spit that, because a life with a big half a spinnerbait in your mouth is not going to be fun. It's a bummer. Oh man, sorry dude. Alright. Oh, got it. Alright, a little keeper, I think, maybe. Spinnerbait over here, huh? Interesting. This was more my jig area. The water's a little deeper, a lot clearer. And I had a couple small ones last time on the spinnerbait. Keep going with it. Warming up a little. Maybe the fish are heating up too. Finally one smoked it. They've been kind of eating it funny today. A lot of them have just been kind of trailing behind it and just grabbing it. That one finally gave me a nice little bite. Appreciate it. Oh, I saw him come out and get it. That was cool. Kind of wondering where these fish were coming from. Like, are they sitting shallow or are they sitting a little deeper? This one came from a little deeper. Right by this tree. You can't say they're not in an aggressive mood right now, or at least some of them. That one came out and smoked it. Oh, better one. What the heck? Man, they're eating it so gingerly. Just kind of slowly trailing behind it and then eating it. Like that one missed it the first time and he just stayed right on it and gave a little bite. keep wanting to throw the jig or the drop shot even in some of these areas, but it seems like maybe the spinnerbait's something fleeing right now, just a little more productive. Oh, there we go. Yeah, dude. It is more of a spinnerbait deal. What's crazy is like the water's so clear, I can like see my bait. When I cast it, I can see it. I'm not fishing it too deep, so I can see when something comes up and grabs it. It's kind of cool. Keep spinnerbaiting. There we go. Same spot as the other fish we caught on the jig earlier. Man, they're not very big. It's okay. And I said both times now, this place is hit or miss. Last year, it was good, of course. Had a couple of trips here, caught fish. And we're catching fish this year too, but I don't know how many fish we've caught. It's been probably a couple dozen, but I don't think I've caught one over 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds yet. And last year, there were a handful of 2 to 4.5 pound fish here. So hit or miss, yeah, I mean fish, but I'm starting to get a feeling that those bigger fish, there's just not many around right now. It's kind of interesting, something to make note of. That feels better. Maybe just got me hung. Yeah, he just got me hung. Thought you were an outlier fish. Okay, a couple of bites here and there. The dang worm. How do you not eat it? Gonna say, got a few bites on the jig. There's no way we go back through there with a drop shot and don't get bit. Just wouldn't make sense. Finally got one on the worm. His size definitely reflects what we're throwing, but we can get a big one on a worm too, just like we can get little ones on the jig. What are you doing? That's not gonna help the fishing. Let me catch one right in front of you. We're on. As far as you did, and all the otters stirring up the water. Not a bad little fish. Alright, there's some to be had still that we can mop up with the worm. Let's cover some water, throw the jig, throw the spinnerbait. Look for a little bit bigger bite, if we can. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's not bad one. Let's just change back over to the spinnerbait. Come here, buddy. Feel better? Man, these fish are freezing. Like little ice cubes. Alrighty folks, it is about 2:30. You know what, I called it a little earlier than I planned. Short day, short video for you. It is what it is, it's fishing. Fishing is never textbook. Can't always depend on repeating exactly what happened the previous trip, which was definitely demonstrated today. But to quickly recap, came back to the skinny backwaters, brought the Slayer Max 10, fewer rods, less gear, ultimately just a lighter rig. Got here pretty early, had to put a little extra effort into getting to the areas that I wanted to fish. That's one of the benefits of the smaller craft, smaller rig. You can easily hop out of it it, drag it along the sandbar, stuff like that. So piece of cake there, but started out in an area that last time, towards the end of our day, we got on a spinnerbait bite. No giants, wasn't like we're smashing 2 to 4 pound fish, but you know, catching fish, small ones, medium ones, more like medium ones on the spinnerbait. They were chewing it and must have had 10 to 15 bites back there doing that. So that's where I started today. Did have a couple of what I'm guessing were foul hooked fish on lipless, but I do not think those were bass. Now that I think about it, they were probably carp or something else. I don't think they were bass. So eventually ignored those fish, moved to the spot that I wanted to fish, and it was slow. I mean, it was slow. Obviously a lot chillier this time around. Had the fog. Air temps was around 43 degrees, I think. The cold weather, fish must have been chilly too because they were seemingly lethargic. I don't want to say that they had left the area. It hadn't been too long since we've been here. After many casts with the spinnerbait, I think we got one actual decent largemouth on the spinnerbait. That was pretty much it. Messed around with a few other baits. I think I hooked into a couple of dinks on the crankbait just to get a few to react. So I do think the fish were still there. They weren't really eating. They definitely weren't chasing the spinnerbait like they were the other day, but I figured, you know what? It's the morning, it's chilly, totally different time of day than the last time we were here. So let's leave the spot and we'll come back a little bit later, see if we can maybe get on some of those fish that we were hoping for. So I left, I went to another area, short little run. This area a lot deeper, a lot more wood, sunken trees, timber. This is where I got some jig fish last time, and actually it didn't take too long to get bit on the jig, so I thought that was a positive sign. A little while later, another fish on the jig, no big ones, same size as last time, but it is a fun bite and a very different way to fish the jig. Different than, say, summer jig fishing. All these jig fish from this trip and the past, really what I've been doing is just throwing that jig to high percentage areas and just letting it sit. You let it just fall to the bottom, you let it sit. I give it about 5 to 10 seconds before I reel it back up and throw it somewhere else, because usually what'll happen is that'll fall right through the trees or the weed line or whatever. I think what happens, it just lands down on some of that hard bottom, makes like a little plume of dust or sand or whatever, and I think that maybe gets the attention of some nearby fish. What they do is they just kind of suck it in, they pick it up. Really just dead sticking, soaking a jig for those fish, but not much other jig action. Started to warm up, the fog cleared, so I went back to the spinnerbait and actually got on an okay little stretch of bites with spinnerbait. Nothing epic, no giants, same old fish, but still fun fish. They weren't hitting it as hard with the water being so clear. I could actually see my spinnerbait when I'd cast it all the way out. I could see it because I was keeping it just subsurface, slow rolling it back in, and I'd see some of these fish just kind of trail right behind it. They'd come out of God knows where, maybe the grass line, maybe deeper water, not sure, but I'd see them come right behind the spinnerbait. They'd trail it and then they'd eventually eat it. So they weren't smashing it by any means, but kind of cool to actually see some fish inhale the spinnerbait. Did that program for a while. I mixed around with other baits, maybe a few on the drop shot, covered some more water. I did end up going to our starting spot right at the end of the day, right before I packed it up and loaded up the kayak, but it seemed pretty dead still. So I don't know, maybe those fish moved. Shoot, I'm not even sure. Maybe just a totally different set of conditions today, and a lot of those fish just weren't active. So a day that definitely wasn't as epic as I was hoping, but it definitely wasn't the worst of days either. Kind of like right in between, so whatever. I still love getting out here. I mean, it's beautiful out here, super peaceful. Early mornings out here in the kayak. I mean, it's pretty cool stuff. Catching fish is always a bonus. But guys, that is going to do it for today's video, today's day out on the water. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I appreciate you coming along, and I will catch you guys in the next one.